Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. Hey y'all, it's Living with Lee. Welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by today's title, we are going to be doing a tier rating of all of the books that I read in 2025. But yeah, so I haven't really posted anything reading related on YouTube this year. I have on TikTok, I have on, I was gonna say CapCut, no, Instagram, but nothing on YouTube. I've done reading wrap-ups in the past. Yeah, so when I saw this like really fun way of doing a reading wrap-up, I was like, yeah, we're gonna do that. So, duh, let's just go ahead and get started. And I knew that I wanted to do a reading wrap-up for the year as like a video in December, but then I saw someone that I'm subscribed to doing this like tier rating, and I was like, wait, this is kind of fun. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, this is like a trend. Okay, so at the time of recording, I have read 19 books. When I did this like tier listing, I was like halfway through-ish with the last book on the line, which is Sometimes I Lie. But now that I'm recording it, I finished it. So if my memory isn't failing me, then I rated it correctly, but we're gonna see. So we have Into the Dark, which is part of the Magnolia series. We have The Housemaid's Secret, The Housemaid is Watching. Then we followed that up with The Best of Friends, Yellowface, Then She Was Gone, Can't Get Enough, Where Sleeping Girls Lie, The Stranger, Reckless Girls, The Silent Patient, Ring Shout, Local Women Missing, The Inheritance Games, Razorblade Tears, Grown, You Killed Me First, and Sometimes I Lie as our 2025 finisher. So starting at the top with Green, I don't want to say like being the best and Red being the worst, because I didn't have like any, at least this year, I didn't have any like 2-star, 1-star books or anything like that. Like I at least generally enjoyed every single book that I read this year. So I wouldn't necessarily say that if it's in the red, that means that like it's terrible. I guess it's just like when we compare, I don't know. So for the first tier, we have No Notes, Chef's Kiss. This is like, mwah, like it is so good. I wouldn't change a single thing about it. Amazing. After that, we have Now This Was a Banger, okay? It was really good. Maybe there were a few things that I would like change here and there. Maybe there was an issue that I had with a character. I felt like there might have been like a plot hole or two, but like nothing that would greatly change the way that I viewed the story, just enough for me to like note it and be like, I can't really say it's perfect, but I really enjoyed it. Next is going to be True Neutral. This wasn't like a, oh my gosh, it stands out like super bad in my mind, but it also wasn't like a, this is terrible, throw it away. It's kind of just like, okay, I vibed with it. It was cool, it was cute. And now we can just move forward. Below that, we have One and Done. I just feel like there's some books where like, yeah, I enjoyed it, but like I can never see myself picking this book up again. I can't see myself picking this back up with like a new perspective of like seeing where I might not have guessed the twist, or, oh, maybe I can relate to a different character this time around. Like, she's like, no, like, I got everything I needed from this one read, and that's okay. And then lastly, we have So Bad It Was Good. Like I mentioned, there wasn't really a quote-unquote like bad book that I read this year, but some did rank lower than others. So I feel like that is a good category for those types of books, where it was like, you know, maybe this was like not really the most well-written. Maybe there were a lot of plot holes, but like I enjoyed myself in a weird sort of way. I did. So it was so bad that it was good. Now let's go ahead and let's start ranking. Okay, so first I have Into the Dark, which is the most recent installation of the Magnolia Park series. At first I put this in Now This Was a Banger because I really did enjoy it, but then I thought about it objectively and compared it to all of the other books that I read throughout the year, and I just put it as a true neutral. I did enjoy it, but it wasn't really anything like exceptionally special, especially compared to the other books in the series. Next we have The Housemaid. I really enjoyed this book. I put it in Now This Was a Banger. It wasn't absolutely perfect to me, but it was pretty close. It had me like on the edge of my seat. I was kind of mad that I waited so long to read it. The action, the suspense had multiple plot twists. I was really invested. After that, we have The Housemaid's Secret. I put this in One and Done. It wasn't necessarily that the sequel fell flat. I did somewhat enjoy this story. It took place in New York. We got to see a direct continuation of most of the characters from book 1 into book 2. And this might be such a small detail, but this really bothered me. The main character, I don't even remember her name. Forgive me, but like she like lived in the Bronx in the second book, and like she like traveled to, I think it was like the Upper East Side, and she was a house sitter there, and she'd be like, I'm going back to the slums of the Bronx. It's full of criminals and it's disgusting and dirty. And I'm like, bro, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean by that? Like, and I'm not even from the Bronx, like, but what do you mean by that? Like, it just didn't really sit right, especially because the main character is white. Like, It just made me side eye the main character. And then considering like Sydney Sweeney is gonna play the main character, or is playing the main character now that the first movie has come out, just picturing her like in the second movie, I don't like that at all. This was a one and done for me. Nothing in this story really stood out to me in a way that makes me be like, oh, I need to read this again. Next up, we have The Housemaid is Watching. This is the third book in the Housemaid series. I put this in true neutral. Really enjoyed it, but wasn't anything special. It was a nice way to wrap up the series, but I kind of felt like it was getting repetitive. There wasn't really anything new. Alrighty, for the next book, we have The Best of Friends by Lucinda Berry. This was a banger. This was a banger. I do remember that there were a few plot holes when it kind of came to like the timelines of the friendships between these women, but I still did really enjoy it. It did let me know like, oh, Lucinda Berry, like she will write some crazy. After that, I read Yellowface. This was a book on my TBR list for like a really long time. It was really interesting to read about the perspective of like a different woman of color. Well, the main character wasn't a woman of color, but like the experiences that women of color from other communities go through that are outside of the Black community gave me a lot to like think about. And even though the writing wasn't always like top notch, it wasn't always like stellar or out of this world, it was still enjoyable, still thought-provoking, and it's just a true neutral. Next up, we have Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. This right here, no notes. No notes. Those twists ate so bad. I was like guessing, oh, this person is going to be responsible for X, Y, and Z, and this person was responsible. Like, I was guessing literally from like the first, second chapter. Already started like trying to predict and read between the lines and trying to highlight and note like, okay, remember that, or like, oh, that's weird, like that might come up later. I was invested. And that twist was crazy too. It was like the first twist happened and I was like, okay, that caught me off guard. T. And then the second twist happened and I was like, wait a minute. And then it just kept ramping up and I was like, there's like a lot happening right now. After that, we read Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. This is the third book and I believe it's the Skyland series. I put this in true neutral. I did enjoy the book. I loved learning about Hendrix and her background. However, like compared to the other two books in the series, it just wasn't my favorite. Pacing I found to be like a little odd, and I felt like there were some parts of the stories where like, not that it felt like fluff, but in a way it kind of did. Next up, we have Where Sleeping Girls Lie. This was so easily no notes, chef's kiss. Like, this book was a banger, and I was really surprised that I liked it because I'm like 95% positive that this is a YA book, but like more so like high school age. This book was so good. It had drama, it had thriller, it had mystery, it had suspense, and it also had ties to like a really good broader message and like the implications of the message it was trying to share. Again, this is a book where I can't really talk about the message or like the greater implications because then it'll give too much away. I was very invested to the main character. Like, I wanted to make sure she was good at all times. When she was in trouble, when she was running into issues, like, I'm turning to the next chapter because I need to make sure that my girl is good. We followed this book up with a classic, The Stranger. This book, okay, well, first let's talk about, I put in this was a banger. I didn't feel like it was a no-note chef's kiss like the way that I would rank, say, The Alchemist. The book, The Stranger, was still like really good, just not The Alchemist good, if that makes sense. I feel like the only way to describe that book would be the question of like, what's the point? Because, and it's not in the way of like nonchalant or like, I don't care, but it's like almost this sense of existential dread is like oozing out of this book and the main character. It's kind of also like the feeling of like Sonder in like a more reflective and depressing way, I fear. Because it was like, wow, like really I am just one person. I definitely recommend reading it probably in a time where you don't have to be in a great headspace. You don't have to be in a great headspace, right? Definitely go into it with a more open headspace, because with like the undertones and the general vibe of the book, I can see how if you are already struggling or kind of like in a bad mood, how it can potentially like hurt rather than help. So just keep that in mind if this is a book that you want to read. Next up, we have Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawking. Put this in one and done. It was a good book. It was thriller. We had some suspense. The twists were good, but it wasn't like a jaw-dropping, completely out of left field. Like, it was just like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That adds up. I can't see myself like reaching for this book again, being like, oh, let me see what I missed. Let me see if I have a fresh perspective. I feel like I got everything that I needed out of that book, so I'm cool with it. Return back to Kindle Unlimited. I'm okay. enjoyed it, but I don't need her anymore. Thank you. Next up, we have The Silent Patient. This was another book that I was surprised that I took so long to read, because I feel like this has been popular on like BookTok and within the book community for a few years now. This definitely was a banger. This was so good. I think I extra liked it. I think I especially liked it because of the connections to mental health. One of the main characters works like in a psychological ward, is a psychiatrist, I believe, either a clinician or a psychiatrist. So it was really cool to like see that in a book. However, though, there were like a lot of things that were being explained where I was like, I know this, but then I would have to remind myself and like reel myself back in that like not everyone has a psychology background. So of course these are things that like have to be, I don't even want to say spelled out, because it wasn't like a you should know your alphabet, you should know your numbers type of thing. It was like okay, I'm just giving you some background so when I start using these terms and referencing things, you're not confused. It didn't feel perfect to me, but it felt pretty close. So that's why this was a banger. It felt like the right category. Alrighty, next up we have Ring Shout. The true reason why I read this was because I was on a Sinners kick. I went to go see Sinners like earlier in the year when it first came out, but I just kept thinking about it. I wanted to go see it in IMAX. I couldn't get tickets. And then I started looking on TikTok, like, what books are similar to Sinners? Like, I need more of this. And Ring Shot was one of the books that came up. It was available on Kindle Unlimited, so I was like, let's go and let's grab it. I originally put it in True Neutral, but then I decided to put it in One and Done. I enjoyed it, but the pacing, for me at least, was a little bit hard to follow. I felt like it was, like, very bumpy. I feel like that's the best way to describe it. But I really, really enjoyed it, and I was kind of shocked. Like, it is extremely similar to Sinners, like extremely similar. So if you're like me and you really enjoyed Sinners, I would definitely recommend reading this book. But I can't see this as being like a, oh my god, I need this in my clinic. I can't see this being like a, I need this in my collection, I need the physical copy. It served its purpose, and I had a good time with it. Next, we have Local Woman Missing. This also a one and done. I feel like it was very similar to Reckless Girls. The twists were pretty okay, I'm following. Let's keep flipping. Let's learn more about it. But like, I just feel like when there were a lot of family scenes going on, the pacing was like a little iffy for me. It wasn't that hard to get past, but it was like definitely just something that was like noted. I felt like there were also a lot of plot holes in the twist. I feel like it was not far-fetched, but also like, I want us to be a little bit more for real if possible. Thanks. Don't regret it, but not gonna read it again. Next we have The Inheritance Games. The first, it was so bad, it was good. I'm so sorry, but like this really is a mainly YA slander fan page. Something about, listen, I know this is gonna sound insane, but like the writing just feels very juvenile. I know it sounds insane because duh, it's written for juveniles, but like it's not written in a way where it's like, oh, I can kind of like get past it. It just felt like a lot of the sentences were super simple. A lot of things were being repeated from previous chapters of like, okay, like I know this, like the premise was really cool. It just, the story itself kind of fell a little flat. Next up we have Razorblade Tears. This book was so good. So good. No Notes, Chef's Kiss. This book had so many messages and deeper like meanings within the story itself. You learn a lot about the main characters, Ike and Buddy Lee, and the way that they come from such different walks of life, but also such similar walks of life at the same time. Was very interesting to watch it play out. The premise of like how they even came about meeting and becoming, again, I don't want to give away too much because I feel like, especially this, it's not really like a thriller book, but because of how great the book is, I really want you to experience it for yourself. I never wanted to put this book down. There's just so much depth in the characters, even the ones that are like quote unquote the villains. I feel like that really speaks to the complexity of man. And we as humans are not single surface. There are many layers to us. Sometimes they're going to contradict one another, but at the end of the day, they still make us us. 100% recommend this book. Okay, we're dwindling down to the last three. Next up, we have Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is my third book by her. I put this in the True Neutral. The greater message of the book, super relevant, right? The main character, she wants to be a star. She wants to be a singer, and basically she gets completely engulfed by the world of this like male superstar. It also does hold greater messages that are super important and super valid. The complexity of experiencing something like the main character did, and how that really changes and affects the relationships within your community and within your life, but also the greater community. People on the internet talks about toxic masculinity, especially within the Black community. Also talks about the way that society places this like extreme sense of maturity and like quote unquote fastness on Black girls, and kind of taking the focus away from the people who have wronged them and somehow putting the blame on the person that was on the receiving end of abuse, of wrongdoing, of assault. For the third time, very relevant to the times. Next up, we have You Killed Me First. No, chef's kiss. The twists in this book were absolutely insane. We are following these three women, and I again had hunches about who was this person responsible when it came to the first chapter in the book, because there's some time jumps, right? So it was like the first chapter in the book was the main turning point of the story, I guess you could say, and then we jump back like almost like a year before that and we see the build up. Bro, I was not expecting what happened to happen, and then like it just kept evolving, and I was like, wait, but pause. And then I flipped the page and I'd be like, wait, but I didn't recover yet. And I flipped the page and I'd be like, please, I can't, like my brain is going to explode. I can't even fathom all of this. This is like a lot. Like this is a lot, but in a good way. And then last but certainly not least, we have Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. Or is it Fenny? Let me know. I most recently finished, I literally finished this book in 3 or 4 days. This was a banger. This was a banger. The reason why it wasn't absolutely perfect to me was because the pacing, specifically in like the first half of the book, I felt like it was like trying to be a slow build up, but it kind of felt like we were just like dragging our feet a little bit. Was that on purpose? Maybe. Did I like it though? No. We have a good case of like red herrings. The twists were super good. Super good. Didn't see them coming. Definitely took me by surprise and made me want to keep reading. The ending was interesting in the way that like it did wrap it up in a nice bow, but also in a way left it open-ended to make you wonder like, I kind of like that, because it's like, okay, I at least have some definitive answers for the characters and like what their lives may look like now. It also leaves it open to interpretation and like getting creative in what you think has transpired after that last line. And for that was a banger. And there you have it. This is my tiered ranking of all the books that I've read in 2025. Right now I'm on book 20. Not mad at it, but next year, especially now that I have a Kindle and I listen to audiobooks, bro, next year I have no reason to not hit 30. I have zero reason. I do make a lot of like lifestyle, beauty, X, Y, and Z, right? And I do greatly enjoy making those videos, but sometimes it's really fun to like also make videos about things like reading and other things that I really enjoy. So if you guys want to see more reading videos and book related videos in 2026, definitely leave a comment and let me know. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.